Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains episode review. This time we will be going over episode 113 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, the first main portion of the Roboppy and Soulburner duel. And generally speaking, what did I think about the episode? I enjoyed it. I think my problem with this episode is a personal one. I think I hyped it up too much in my head, where there were so many similarities, and I pointed this out in the 112 review, to the Sora and Shun duel. At least I saw a lot of similarities between those two duels, and between that duel and this duel, and unfortunately it didn't really live up to what I was anticipating, which of course is my own fault, and we still do have an entire episode left, and who knows, maybe next episode in 114, when this duel does conclude, it will be a really intense, a really terrific ending to this duel. That's kind of what happened with Sora and Shun. The last 7 minutes of that duel were just bone-chillingly awesome, and maybe that will be the same for this duel. But the truth is, I personally hyped it up a little too much in my head. The reason that made that Shun and Sora duel so cool is that we didn't really know a lot about those characters, just like surface level stuff, and of course Sora with the whole plot twist that he's actually an academia spy. We're not really going to have anything like that in this duel in terms of a really big plot twist, unless something that I gave to Roboppy, something that a few people pointed out in my comments and when I did the live stream, is what if the thing that I gave to Roboppy before this duel will cause like a hologram of flame to show up or something crazy like that. That would be insane. That would be really, really insane. But this episode was still good nonetheless. The dueling action was good. I liked how they're kind of chipping away at each other. I believe this episode ends with Soulburner about to take his turn. He has 800 life points left. Roboppy has 1,000 life points left. So the duel has been very even. Roboppy, though, man, the amount of arrogance that this guy has, especially for being a relatively new duelist and a relatively new, intelligent AI with free will. It's not like he's been here the whole time. And the amount of arrogance that he looks down on Soulburner, a character that has been really a very solid duelist up until this point. I think his only loss was against Bowman. So a character that has been a really, really good duelist looks down on him, looks down on humans entirely. Even when Playmaker shows up, he says the same thing he said to Soulburner, like, yeah, humans aren't allowed here, so you have to scram, but if you don't agree with what me and I are doing, then I'm just going to beat you next. And oh man, I really, really hope Soulburner wins. I really, really do. But I do like that it's been a very back and forth duel thus far. Also, the way when the Laundry Dragon, Link 1 Laundry Dragon, attacked Soulburner, Salomon Great, Heat Lyo, and like covered him and suffocated him in clothing, I thought the animation for that attack was one of the coolest attack animations that I have seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains thus far. I loved that animation, and also the animation, just generally speaking, I thought was really good in this episode. There were a lot of really clean and crisp shots, so that also enhanced the episode for me. But what I really liked is, in the beginning of this episode, Soulburner admits, hey, look, I'm not the brightest guy, but that's okay. I've accepted who I am, and I thought that was a really kind of noble and honest thing for Soulburner to say, because no one wants to look at themselves and say, yeah, I'm not really a smart guy. Like me personally, I'm not as smart as my brother. Real life example. I'm just not. My brother is a genius with numbers. He got a perfect score in his math SATs. He's an actuary, genius with numbers. When it comes to numbers, I am nowhere near my brother's competency level, and that's just how it is. And it's not really a hard thing for me to admit, but it's something that, like, I think everyone can admit to some degree that they're never going to be the smartest person in their field. Sure, you can be intelligent in your field, but there's always going to be someone a little smarter than you. And I think for Soulburner to be able to admit that and to be okay with that, especially in the context that Roboppy just said, was really, really humbling and kind of noble for him to admit and say. Because Roboppy says before that he was happy before he had all this information. And Soulburner, that's when he replied, well, I am happy with who I am, and who I am is going to be someone who is never going to have access to a crazy amount of information, and that's okay. He even looks at someone like Yusaku and Shoichi Kusanagi, for example, and they're hacking away, and he's just sitting in the hot dog truck with a blank look on his face like he has no idea what's going on. That would be me if I was in that hot dog truck. So even in his really close circle of friends, he probably feels kind of not dumb, but definitely not as intelligent, again, when it comes to numbers and hacking, as Playmaker and as Kusanagi. But he's happy with that. He's completely okay with that. Roboppy, meanwhile, basically what Roboppy says in this episode is kind of a long variation on ignorance is bliss. And that phrase is so true. Like, I don't want to know what... That's why, like, if you had to give me a superpower, I would not want to know what people were thinking about me. Like, if someone was being really fake to me, like, let's say, no one hopefully, like, really close to you, like a family member, but let's say a coworker you're friendly with and you're civil with, you work at a place for 2 years and then you leave, and you don't really talk to that coworker again. If you knew the whole time that that coworker secretly hated you and was just being nice to you and being fake to you and just kind of being civil with you for the job, that would kind of be a little depressing. It would be a little upsetting. Ignorance is complete bliss. And Roboppy says, I was happy before I had all this information. Now that I know what humans are capable of, now that I know how the end of the world is going to come about or how the future is going to play out, I'm happy in a different way. But that happiness is more, you need to do what you need to do to fulfill, to get back to that happiness. And basically, what I'm kind of rambling on here is the interpretation that I got is Roboppy said ignorance is bliss, just in a very elongated way. At least that's how I saw it. And Roboppy still very hell-bent on wanting to destroy the humans and conquer the world, as we heard him say in this episode. Another really good talking point, and something that I wish was done with a little more viciousness, a little more vindictiveness, was when Roboppy brought up Flame. Roboppy brings up Flame and says the reason that I is tormented and the reason that I is depressed is because of you, Soulburner, because you were unable to protect Flame. To say that is insane. Remember, Flame sacrificed himself so that Soulburner could fight on against Bowman, but not only that, it wasn't like Soulburner had a chance to protect Flame and didn't take it, right? Soulburner did everything that he could to try and protect Flame, to try and defeat Bowman, to try and have it so that the Ignis could live alongside with the humans. Even when Lightning and Windy were turning on humanity, Soulburner was still fighting for the Ignis. So to blame Soulburner for this is extremely ignorant and immature, and that's where Kusanagi, who is just low-key the MVP of the show, comes in with a really good quick monologue where he's like, Roboppy was able to get all of this information and all of this power and all of this free will in such a quick time span that his heart and his brain has not been able to keep up with the amount of information that he's processing. And so, in essence, Roboppy is basically a 9-10-year-old immature boy who pretends that he understands everything and knows everything, but in reality, he doesn't really have a good concept on how the world works and how things in life work. And I've seen, when we're 12, 13 years old, even at the age you are now, you kind of feel invincible, right? You feel like nothing bad can happen to you. You feel like you can kind of do whatever you want in life. That's of course more when you're 11, 12 years old. Not saying that you can't when you are my age or even older than my age, but you become a lot less optimistic and more pessimistic and kind of, soaked into reality, which, I'd love to have my youth back, but hey, it happens to all of us. We all kind of grow up in a sense and lose that innocence. But Roboppy, to a degree, is that 12-year-old kid. Roboppy is that 12-year-old child in all of us if, we all wanted to destroy the human race, which hopefully no one watching this video ever wanted to do, God forbid. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and that actually kind of made me feel a little sympathetic towards Roboppy, which is something the show has yet to really make me feel towards Roboppy. So that was a really interesting line, and I liked that line, and I liked that exchange a lot. I was hoping it was going to be a little more evil, a little more sinister in the delivery. It wasn't. It was kind of, it wasn't lighthearted, but it was just kind of, middle of the road. Like, it wasn't overly evil, it wasn't overly intense, but at the same time it wasn't, again, like a joke or a comedic release or something like that. And the whole time I is watching, and I gets pretty serious towards the end. Of course, he still has that similar attitude that he's had the whole show, where he's joking around and he's like, oh, which lion is going to reign king of beasts or something like that, making jokes while watching this duel. But then when Flame gets brought up and his own torment gets brought up, I gets very serious, and as he's watching this duel, he gets very serious. Remember, in his head, he probably thinks that Roboppy is going to lose and that this is going to be the end of Roboppy, but also, he gave Roboppy something. What he gave Roboppy, none of us really know. We can only speculate. If it is somehow like a hologram of Flame to try and throw Soulburner off, or maybe it's a way that he can communicate directly with Soulburner and Playmaker and talk to them, that would be pretty cool as well. We're just going to have to wait and see. Thought the episode, again, was good. I think I hyped it up in my head a little too much, but I also liked how Playmaker showed up. I was thinking that Playmaker was going to get there maybe towards the end or the middle. He got there at the smack beginning of this episode, and so it was good that he was able to establish some dialogue with Roboppy and is just going to be in the area of this duel. But again, him showing up makes me very confident that Soulburner is going to win this duel, because if Soulburner loses, then Playmaker is just going to step up and duel Roboppy, and I don't think they would have that. I don't think they would do back-to-back Roboppy duels like that. The only time you really see back-to-back duels in the same exact setting and arena is maybe with the protagonist, but Yugioh usually avoids the whole back-to-back duel setup where a character is standing in one location, defeats a character, and then it's almost like a gauntlet and the next character steps up. You don't really see that too often in Yu-Gi-Oh, and that makes me believe, because again, if Roboppy wins, we know Playmaker and Roboppy is going to happen immediately unless something weird happens to Roboppy through the program that I gave. Most likely, Soulburner, I was kind of more 60-40 Soulburner. I'm now 80-20 that Soulburner is going to win this duel, but who knows, maybe there will be a shock on the cards. But guys, let me know all your thoughts on episode 113 down below. We should get, I know we have the summaries for 114 and 115. We should hopefully get the summaries for 116 and 117, or at least the titles for those episodes on Thursday, literally tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. The last 2 months that the episode of VRains aired on the 7th of the month, the first episode aired, we got the summaries on the 8th, so hopefully that pattern will continue. But please let me know all your thoughts down below, and a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons: Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Jordan Osceola, Smith620, RedEye, FrostReaper, Jorge Leon, Melinda Phantom, and Blue Maiden 28, and to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood, Garrett Palmer, Galladiator, and Ben Hartz, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons Syn Cloud, Joss Rivers, Matthew Kennedy ×2, and Chris Swan. A huge thank you to everyone who has become a new patron in the past month. I cannot tell you how much it truly helps me out and helps out the channel. And thank you to everyone who has become YouTube channel members as well. That is an additional way to really help me out. And just a genuine thank you to everyone who watches these videos, because without you guys, there would be no Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything. I will talk to you down below, all things Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.
夢じゃない嘘つきな僕にば